A word for our listeners. Achtung Cthulhu is set in the 1930s and 40s. We will be using terms and sayings from those times, including some that could be considered offensive. It is not our intention to offend. We merely wish to offer as accurate a view of the time period as possible. Welcome to Masks of Nyarlathotep, a Nerd's Domain gaming podcast. Join us each week as our investigators uncover the corruption of the mythos in World War II. Starring George Chimbles, Phil Durham, Rob Walker, Justin Kimmett, Shirley Nedzwicki, and Scott Troiano, with Matt Quiet running the table as the keeper. Eldritch evils and crazed Nazi cultists await you just beyond this music.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Nerds Domain presents Masks of Nyarlathotep. I'm Matt, and I'm here with Rob.
Having a great time.
And we're going to talk about the character creation of Astor Fournier, a Frenchman, French dude, French bro.
He's so bro. I'm gonna hate him.
A French,
He's not.
former military intelligence, I guess, kind of current military intelligence as well.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and go through the basic concept. We got character creation that is in the Call through the book. It's going to be on page 36 and 37, and then we'll go through the advanced setup that we do through the Achtung Cthulhu part. So first, you're going to roll 3d6 5 times. Note those numbers. You can make that as loud as you want.
9.
No, yes. Not no.
12, that's
14?
I'm digging that.
Yeah, you're not on mic at all, so I will repeat this.
Yeah,
it's not
it's
a
hard
problem.
to write
No, it's
and
go.
read.
Go ahead.
And
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, that's another 14. Oh, 13?
Yeah.
Numbers are hard. Reroll that. That's better. 10.
Yay, one more.
Reroll that.
11.
There you go. So your high number is 14.
Yeah.
You're doing great. So go ahead and assign those to Strength, Con, Power, Dexterity, and Appearance. Don't write them too dark because we are going to adjust some stuff as we go.
Okay, so I decided strength of 14, constitution of 11, size of 9, dexterity of 10, and appearance of 13.
Okay. Next, you're going to roll 2d6 and add 6, and that is going to be twice for size and intelligence. What did you roll?
Oh, wait, you said... I thought you already put size.
No.
The 5 were strength, con...
Power, Dexterity, and Appearance.
Power. That's the one I messed up.
Power does go off sanity. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. You don't want to start off too low and then just lower it even farther. And we can adjust that, hopefully.
Okay, so size then is 13.
Okay, and that was 7 plus 6, right?
Yep.
Okay, and again for intelligence.
All right, that's 15.
Right on. You're not dumb. Well, we'll see. 36 plus 3 is for your education.
12.
Reroll that. 12 is really low.
14.
That's better. So you're a little on the average side of things. You're not nothing you've got is amazing. Normally at this point I would let you move up to 3 points from one thing to another 3 times. Instead, what I'm going to do is have you add 4 points wherever you would like total. So you have 4 points that you can bump certain things. I think everything else is kind of good where it's sitting. As an intelligence officer, you have to be actually good at something and not just randomly average and kind of good looking. So that's why I'm doing this. And keeping in mind that 9 POW means 45 sanity starting off.
I just bumped that up by 1. I bumped up the education by 2. And let's add...
Intelligence might be important for skills. Just going to help you out with that.
So saith the GM.
Yep. So what's your strength and size? added together?
It's 27. Oh no, yeah, yep, 27.
Okay, so you'll have an extra D4 in size bonus damage.
I've never had one of those.
What's your age going to be?
34.
34. Wow, you have a very specific age. Okay. Next, we will take your intelligence times 5, and that's your idea. So that's 80. Idea is 80. And then take your power times 5, that's luck. That's going to be 50. And your education times 5, that is your knowledge. So that's, I can't see what your education is, so there you go.
Same as intelligence.
Okay, we did that. We'll get onto that here in a minute. So you're going to take your size and con and add those together.
Okay.
Divide by 2.
Okay.
Add 5.
Okay.
And that's your hit points. What, 18? You can take a hit or two. That's good. That's actually really important. In the magic circle, magic point box, circle the number that is equal to your power. And the sanity, you're going to circle the points that are equal to your sanity. So that 50, you're going to circle the 50.
We didn't do sanity.
Yeah, we did.
Where were you at?
I'm sorry. It's the same as your luck.
Oh, okay.
My bad. It's better to be lucky than good, but I guess you're just good. So there you go.
I've got 50% luck. That's about average for me in real life, too.
Okay, so your occupation is going to be OSS officer. These are your skills, and we'll talk about these as we go, or after we get them all down, but definitely want to mark these. Conceal, cryptography, demolitions, maybe under the weapons over here. Or that's explosive. I don't know. Okay. Disguise, espionage, first aid, handgun. That's definitely over here under the weapons. Hide, martial arts, specifically that's defendu. Doesn't really matter though. Other language, which is going to be important. Radio operator, sneak, and submachine gun. You also can choose 2 other skills that are quote unquote cover skills. So whatever your cover would have been, that you can do that. Or if you have 2 other skills that you would like to see used, that you would like to use with your education, keeping in mind you're not going to get a ton of education points. So the ones we just read off, you're probably not going to have good scores in every one of those, but it would be good to have some.
I think I would go survival.
Okay.
And fieldcraft.
Fieldcraft is military only, and you are not in fact military, so you cannot take fieldcraft.
Okay, the spot hidden.
Spot hidden's great. All right. None of that matters because it doesn't matter what you get paid. All right. That's all military.
I get paid a middle wage.
Can you roll a D10?
Six.
Okay, so 6. Growing up, you had a your father had a large picture in the front room showing a strange landscape. He was given that by a close friend. This is just something you might want to note. And he hung it out of reach above the fireplace. Sometimes as the firelight flickered, you could have sworn that you saw movement, and one day you climbed up to get a closer look. You slipped on the mantelpiece and almost fell when a dark hand grabbed you from out of the painting. You shuddered as the shadow retreated just as suddenly back into the trees in the picture. Now the picture lies rolled up in your case at home, or you can have it with you if you really want to. That's your decision. You haven't looked at it since. So, some things to think about this picture. Where do you think the scene in the picture is? What saved you that night? And why didn't you leave the picture at home when you left? I guess it is with you. So it is in fact with you. For some reason you brought it with you. It's questionable.
It was a scene from Canada. It was a spooky ghost that got me, and I carry it with me because it's very sentimental.
Okay, so obviously,
Game over. I win.
As a
I win
child, no one actually believed you if you told them at all. However, you've always, even as an adult, you always feel like maybe there was something, maybe. And after, we'll get into your wife a little bit more. After that, maybe that's part of what it was.
Okay.
Or something related to that. Go ahead and roll a d10 again. We're going through all of the charts because you like random, right?
3. I do.
Oh, wow. We're going to skip that. We're going to go on this. No.
Why?
No.
Why? Is it bad?
You've been hiding all these years, says Grandma. Hiding out so they won't catch you. But now this war has changed. Yeah, it's too involved in the war, and the war hasn't technically started yet. So we're going to skip that one.
This could be 34.
No.
I could have been a child after World War One.
Okay.
Contextually, you can make it fit.
No, because this is the concept here for Octung is that it's already 42, and we're moving forward from there. So we'll move on to this one. So it was when you were in college that you were invited into the society. Being invited into the society was one of the most important days of your college life. It promised much until you learned what was expected of you as a society member. What were you required to do? So essentially you were brought into a secret society, and you should question what that meant for you, whether you went through with it and didn't just fail out of the hazing or the rituals beforehand.
So is it a co-ed society?
No, probably males only.
Okay. Did they have a female? Was it like a fraternity more than likely?
Yeah, it may have had a corresponding sorority.
Right. So the odds are I was probably trying to sleep with one of the gals or all of the gals.
Yeah.
Depending on their appearance.
Okay. So questions. What was required of you? What was the things that they were asking you to do? What one person in your current vicinity, so in France, was also a member? Are you in favor or not with the society? So did you finalize and become a member of the secret society? If you did, where does that put you? Like, are you like, you're just one of the guys? Are you kind of estranged because, you married a gypsy or so on and so forth? And what unusual symbol does the society use? And you'll actually get to name the society as well.
Okay. Oh, all right. Okay. So this is all off the cuff stuff.
Yeah.
The society wanted us to steal the opposing school's mascot. Seems straightforward and easy enough, right?
Yeah.
Except that the opposing school's mascot was a endangered species.
Okay.
Right? So, and this is, it's not as prevalent now, but, as you're studying, these are things you learn.
Right.
And part of what they wanted to do was, it's not just trying to knock them down and take it and steal it. We had to kill it. And I was opposed to killing it. Okay. All right. I didn't want to get blood on my hands. I wasn't a hunter growing up.
I love how you were like, this is going to be a terrible character, and the first thing you do is choose the moral high ground.
I know. It's important. It's important for the development of the character.
No, go ahead.
Right?
I like
because if he doesn't lose his morality, then there's really nothing worth playing with.
That's fair.
Right? So, in the end, it wasn't just you had to kill it, but you had to kill it with your bare hands.
Okay.
Okay. So in the end, my cousin, who's still a member of the society,
okay,
and I held it down while the other member strangled it.
Okay.
Wrung its neck. So we got into the society, although we weren't super active members.
Okay.
But we were there. We would, attend the formal stuff that we had to do. It was kind of like, I guess you'd say like a Mason now who shows up for meetings but doesn't do any of the extracurricular.
Yeah.
Right, kind of that idea.
Or pays the dues and doesn't even show up for meetings.
Right, exactly. The obligatory portions, and that's it.
Okay. You could be a priory of Scion.
Priory of Scion.
Okay. There you go. And this is at a prestigious university in France, in France, which I'm honestly not familiar with French universities. If you ask me about British universities, I'd say Oxford, and that would be the end of it. So,
I'm looking to see if they have an emblem. Oh, they
do. Yeah, it's
very
a fleur-de-lis
Yeah.
with the stylized bottom.
Compass.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah. So we have a symbol. We did not have a secret handshake.
Okay.
They thought it was dumb.
Okay. Roll a d10 as well.
4.
When you first became an agent, the training was the hardest part. So when you were caught up in, I don't understand what that means.
What's it say?
It says when you were caught up in that event, it's no surprise that you were one of the few survivors. Oh, okay. So you went on a training mission.
Yep.
And the majority of your fellow trainees died on that mission. What was that mission? What happened? And why? How did you survive?
Oh.
And why are other members of the intelligence community in France afraid of you now?
Oh.
I like these because they do make you think and like make a character deeper without actually giving you any answers.
Okay, yeah. No, this is good. So it was supposed to be a simple recon. That's what we were told going in. Okay. As we were supposed to be...
And this is like an urban recon? Like you're sorting...
Yes.
Okay.
So we moved in. 2 of the members were actually on site at a governor's ball or a official's ball.
Okay.
We were the team behind. We were supporting. So we had some people that would go and watch the staff and monitor the influx and traffic and who's coming in, who's going out.
Okay.
The commander of the mission, because I was not a commander at the time, was really anti-establishment.
Okay.
And he was anti-fascist, and he thought that these were the model of fascism, some of the government officials. So the rest of the platoon didn't realize, the rest of the squadron didn't realize that his intent was not just to recon, but was to exterminate a good chunk of the party.
Okay.
There were a couple German officials that were still there that were at this. It was a French country home.
Okay.
It was they had quite a few different Germans that had come over. Now, if you remember, after World War I, Germany's still not very well thought of in Europe. So they, as the Germans showed up, everyone starts to signal and to let them know these are the last guests that we know of on the list. So anyone special or whatever else. So the signal's going out to the different members of the team. All of a sudden, the Germans walk through the door. The 2 agents that were staffed inside shot them. As the crowd is dispersing and everyone is freaking out, the agents come by. The commander is screaming and yelling. The agents come by. I grabbed one of them, and I had him by the throat, and I kind of lost control, and I twisted too hard, and I crushed his esophagus.
Okay.
He dropped to the ground and died. The second agent started coming at me, so I pulled the first agent's gun, shot him right in the chest.
Okay.
And then I stood up and kind of walked away as if it wasn't anything important.
Okay. I would suggest your handgun be a little high, but otherwise that sounds great. So, okay.
Well, it was getting there.
Yeah. That's not terrible or anything. So that's kind of the setup. Before we get too deep into skills, because I want to talk through kind of your concept and then kind of match the skills to that.
Right.
So, you were born in 1905.
Yes.
That's the math I just did in my head.
Good job.
So you went to college after World War I. You probably went to college at 16, which was about right during those times. You went through college for what?
Okay, I went to college.
Are we talking business school? Were you there for art history appreciation?
It would have been politics.
Okay.
So I mean, my goals initially were to be a politician.
Okay. And probably during that time, for whatever reason, you were marked as a recruit.
Yes.
And you were recruited by French intelligence for several reasons. One, you could talk your way into things.
Right.
Whatever it was.
Right.
They watched you talk your way into parties, talk your way into women's bedrooms, talk your way into a lot.
Right.
And that is very important. They also saw you talk your way out of things, which is the other part of thing that is important for like a natural agent. So they recruited you probably your junior year. You just joined your secret society.
Right.
And they probably prompted you towards that and you're just not aware of it. So you came to realize later that one of the higher up military or one of the higher up the directors is a member of that society and wanted to pull you in to get to know you better and put you through a different set of tests to see how loyal you were. And to a point, you were loyal to the society, but you also didn't just go blankly with whatever with whatever was told you to do. You questioned things occasionally. They thought that was great. That's what they were looking for. So what you didn't realize it at the time, but as you became an agent, you realized that you were being tested from the moment they decided that they were going to recruit you. After college, you were given a government position, quote unquote, and then pulled into training. So you are, on paper, a low-level dignitary. Like you push papers somewhere, hypothetically. Okay. But in reality, you work as an agent, you worked as an agent often. Sometimes analysis, sometimes field work, just whatever was needed. You never became fantastic at what you did because about, 3-4 years into it, you were thrown out. You were asked to retire.
Well, about that.
Yeah. So tell us why were you asked to retire?
So in college, my extracurricular activity involved ladies.
Yeah.
I was a womanizer. I would use my ability to speak well and to communicate well, like you said. To any and every gal I came across. Okay. I was pretty indiscriminate with it. As part of me, I wasn't my character was not a drinker. He's not a partier, but he would attend the parties he had to attend and keep up the social pretense. But really, what it was about was the next conquest.
Right.
Very much womanizing as often as he could. Unfortunately, the last conquest he had while he was military was the commander's daughter.
Okay.
He took it as kind of a personal triumph because not only was this high-ranking official, was it the daughter? The daughter has a lot of power because of the daddy. Yeah. But he was also the one that's a high-ranking official in the society. Right. So in a lot of ways, I was, a dogmatic towards the society and dogmatic towards the military, but that little act of rebellion, that little release, that rush that I got from it was totally...
And probably in some way getting back at him for manipulating you for however many years.
Yeah, and I manipulated the daughter.
Yep. So you were asked to retire, which essentially means you were thrown out.
I was let go.
But that also gave you a small military pension, which, it's enough to kind of supplement any kind of income you would have.
I had a lot of combat time and stuff anyways, so it wouldn't surprise me.
So, and at that point, you moved because France, you were thrown out, but it was made kind of clear that if you took a half a step the wrong way, you may just find yourself dead in a ditch because they're not afraid to do that.
I'm still a member of the society,
right?
But society is connected to
but the military or the intelligence group is not hesitant in murdering people if they need to. Mm-hmm. And the commanding officer, who we need to give a name, it's Commander Petit.
His daughter was.
So the Commander Petit essentially has enough pull. You've seen Enemy of the State with Will Smith.
Yep.
He can put on a training op and get you killed.
Oh, good.
So he threw you out, and then your cousin, who's still in good standing with the society, was like, "Hey, man, you probably ought to get away from Paris for sure. Get away from anywhere near any kind of government work. Get somewhere safe." And so you were like, they're paying. There were a couple of jobs you could take in the Rhineland, which was was controlled by the French at the time.
Right.
It would be quote unquote government work, but nowhere near anywhere what you were doing. And really, it's just boring paper. This is actual boring paper pushing.
Right.
So you figured I can move there. They're going to pay me a lot because it's a little dangerous. I can handle myself, so it's not that big of a deal. And, it gets me away from everything. So you went to the Rhineland. And they were there until the Nazis occupied it.
Right.
And during that time, you met a woman. Do you have a name for your wife?
Yeah, but we're not going to mention it.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's fine.
We'll keep it quiet for now.
So you met your wife.
Yes.
And tell us about her.
So she was with a gypsy tribe.
Romani. We're going to go with the actual term, not just the slur. We should have been doing that the whole time, but now that we're recording, I'm going to fix it.
Thanks. Romani?
Romani.
Okay. She was with the Romani tribe. Vagabonds.
Okay.
They traveled around a lot. They were in the area for a while. The father took a liking to me.
Okay.
So naturally he introduced me to his daughter. This was the first woman I think that the character had met that he didn't look at as a conquest, but more as a friend and a partner.
Okay.
And so that transition in him really drove him to do everything he could to be with her.
Okay.
Studied with them for a while to understand their culture and their ideas. I mean, obviously he's a novice to the ideology,
right?
But at least he understands the overlying ideas. He wasn't very superstitious before, aside from the event of the childhood, but he kind of buys into some of the stuff he sees, and
at least acknowledges there's a wider world.
Right. So that's his wife. She was a very pretty, beautiful lady. Very, very calm, very collected, very patient. She had to be very patient with them.
So her family moved around a lot. Did you end up leaving the job and moving with them?
Yes, for a little while. They didn't go too far out of the area.
Right.
Because there was comfort here. With the hostilities, it gave them an opportunity to really capitalize on the locations.
Yeah.
And so they would move from town to town, and I would go with them. I was able to secure work here and there, so it wasn't like we were hard off.
Right.
But
things weren't bountiful, but you weren't like eating scraps every night either.
Right. As long as we had each other, we didn't want for anything.
Right.
So
right.
It was a good time for him. It was probably the happiest he'd ever been in his life.
And you had probably 6-7 years of that.
Yeah.
And then the Nazis moved in.
Yep.
So the Nazi occupation of the Rhineland is actually pretty important to the whole story of World War II. When they showed up, one of the first things that they did was they started rounding up the Romani people there. One of the groups of people that they rounded up and sent to camps. Your wife's family avoided it for 6 months or so, but very quickly they were one of the few groups left.
It was long enough to know more of the background of what was happening in the camps, because initially the first group, it wasn't as it was just kind of like, okay, they're going somewhere,
right?
It's not a big deal.
They're just going to relocate them to somewhere else. That's not a big deal.
And then the horror stories start to show a little bit.
Right.
You start to hear. I mean, this is really the front lines. You're getting a little bit of trickles here. You're getting a lot of. We start hearing about what's happened, what the German soldiers are doing as they come into these camps to tear them down and destroy them. So it's not just that, we're not just hearing like, oh, they're going to some place out in the middle of nowhere. We're hearing the stuff that's happening when they show up to a location.
Yeah. So eventually, a group of SS show up to the camp. It's in the middle of the night. You guys have dogs, because that's the Romani way, is to have dogs. They act as guards as well as other things. One night you hear the dogs start barking and then they go silent, which is not the way the dogs do. And you get up, probably grab a handgun, because you at this point are aware of the dangers.
Right.
And as you came out of your trailer, your caravan, you were struck at the back of the head and went down. You were kind of out for the count. And when you woke up, you were kind of tied to a post, and You're watching your adopted family being drug out, some of them loaded into wagons, others beaten, and you tried to fight back, which got you beaten a little bit more, and it didn't really sink into you how dangerous this was until your father-in-law was being kind of carted off towards a wagon. He pushed a guard away and grabbed his gun, his pistol, and the other guard just shot him point blank, just dead.
Okay.
And you realized this isn't a forced relocation, and a really shitty one at that. Like, the horror stories might have been true. They're all true now.
Right.
And as you kind of as that rage and despair filled you, and you kind of pulled yourself out of your restraints and charged forward, 2 guards grabbed you, roughed you up a little bit more, to the point where it was really hard for you to stand. You were bruised, you were broken, bleeding a lot, kind of there on your knees as they held you, and they pulled out your wife, and knowing it was she was your wife.
She came from the same trailer.
Yeah, and proceeded to rape her, and then as they, one after another, and as they finished, killed her, shot her in the head, just while you were watching, while she laid there crying. And you at the time didn't speak a lot of German, but essentially told you that if you were going to contribute to making half-breeds, then this is what you deserved. And then you felt another hit at the back of the neck, or the back of the head, and you were blacked out for who knows how long. It might have been days. And you woke up to a half-burned camp sometime during the daytime, and your wife's body's still there, and your wife and your father-in-law's body's both still there, as well as some others from the camp. But those are the 2 that really stuck with you. Where did you go from there? I mean, obviously you probably buried her.
Yeah, well,
in the proper cultural respect.
Right, follow the cultural trend, and then solve and resolve that. I didn't really know where to go. That was the problem, so I started just kind of wandering.
Okay.
Eventually I made my way into England. I didn't speak very much English. That was the biggest challenge I ran into. Is I don't think a character is going to speak a lot of English. Okay. It'd be enough to basic communication.
Ironically, you probably speak a lot of Italian and Spanish,
right,
but not a lot of German or English.
Right.
Just because of the way what you were trained for.
Right. Well, and then the Romani.
Right.
I get a little bit of the mixed language there.
Right.
So I would learn a little bit, but I don't think it's ever. I'm never going to master English. It's
right.
never going to be like. So if it's it's gonna have an impact when I do something like fast talk or something like that when I'm doing it in English. But if I'm doing it in maybe German, where I learn it, or in one of the languages, it'll help a lot. And so I struggled. I wanted to go back after grieving. It took a couple of years to really grieve through the problems.
Well, actually, you wouldn't have that much time, because I think 36 or 38 is when they took the Rhineland.
And we're going into 40?
We're at 39.
39? It's a year. That's still probably close to a year in terms of... That's enough time to do some good, solid start.
35.
Oh, so I did have time. Yeah.
So it would have been a year or so that you spent kind of wandering. Let's say you ended up in England.
Yep.
Probably arrested for vagrancy at that point. Right. And they ran your information. Meanwhile, Commander Petit had gone up in rank and had kind of let go of whatever animosity he had toward you. Come near his daughter again, he'll murder you. But he had calmed down some. And when he was informed of where you were at and your situation, he offered you a place at home. Like, he was going to get you a low-level paper-pushing job, a house, take care of you, because this is terrible. And as much as France doesn't want to be in the war, there are people within France that understand the Germans are terrible. And you as an individual French citizen are suffering because of how terrible they are. So he didn't take you under his wing. He always did it through, you always knew it was him, but he always did it through other people to make sure you had a house. And it was a rental, but you still had something, and to make sure that you had a job and that people checked in on you. Like the society members, you may not have been active, but they were still checking in and taking you out to dinner, or going and playing. I don't know what people in France play, like badminton or something. I don't know. Whatever the
Some
social
racist cliche here. Go.
Right. They took you out for wine and cheese.
There you go.
But they kept you in social circles so that people were always keeping an eye on you. And even though your lethargy and your depression and all of the listlessness was still there, you knew you were being taken care of, and that helped some to know that you still had some sort of family, but it wasn't anywhere near a replacement.
Right.
And it came to the point where Poland was invaded September 1st of 1939, and Commander Petit sat you down, and he's not even commander now, he's whatever the rank is above that, colonel.
God, I don't know.
Yeah. He sat you down and he said, look, the British have put together an intelligence force that is looking into things that are a little more strange. Given your history with the Romani people, you're a little more open to the concepts of that. So we need a French eye in that group, and you're going to be it, unless you give me a very good reason not to. So
does this mean I get to kill Germans?
I'm sure that if the option arises, that's definitely, you can kill as many Nazis as you need.
There, I'm good.
But they're going to be looking into the Nazis and the Italians and what's going on there. So you're headed to Malta, and that's probably end of September, early October. I'm sorry, towards the end of September that you are sent to Malta. You are brought back in just to kind of brush off your skills, because you haven't used a lot of your stuff. You haven't used a lot of your espionage. Some of it's changed a little bit. You learned a couple new techniques. But they kind of just dust off your skills and bring you out and send you off to Malta to meet with the group that's there. You're told that it's a field group that is very experienced, but very unorthodox in how they handle things.
Okay.
Not a lot of military, and even though they're working for the British, not any British. So it's not like you working with them is going to be that weird, but definitely a different group altogether. So let's go ahead and look at your skills. So definitely want to see your German is going to be high anyway, just because it's essentially the same as your knowledge.
Right.
But we want to see some. Or I'm sorry, not your German. Your French is going to be high. I would assume during that time, afterwards, you learned German to learn how to kill them better.
Yes.
So your German needs to be middle-ish high. I would say 50-ish. Keeping in mind that high levels of German would be great, but those are like the deep concepts. Like if you read a philosophical book in German, you're going to need a higher level of German, but most of the time you don't need it.
Right.
I would say probably a 15-ish in English at least. You speak it probably very accented, but you can understand enough of the base concepts. But your Spanish and Italian should be relatively high. And I need to get my book out. Go ahead. So go ahead and you're going to take your education times 20, and you're going to spend those points on those education skills.
320.
Yeah. So and remember, one skill at like 75 is better than two skills at 60.
Right.
I'm going to look at my notes on the things you need. You definitely need espionage.
Yeah. I'd have a pretty high espionage.
Disguise would not be bad either.
I got my calculator so I can start keeping track of these.
Yeah. I thought I had other notes for you. Aha, there we go. Cryptography. Also, locksmith is going to be important.
Locksmith?
Yeah, because it's going to let you unlock things. Locksmith, though, is not technically occupation still, so you'll get more skills here in a minute, just not nearly as many. So you might want to do it with that.
Okay. Well, the German I'm going to bump up to 50.
Okay. Don't take that out of the 320. We'll go ahead and let you have the 50 German, and then we'll put 15 in English for free, and let's say 60 in Italian, and a 60 in Spanish. And I'll let you have all that for free. Like, I'm not super worried about it. I'd rather you have other skills than just a bunch of languages.
So I did 75 in the espionage already.
Okay.
I'm probably going to do 75 and no. The handgun needs to go up. It wouldn't make sense without it.
Yeah. Yeah, because your luck isn't high enough for a good shot.
Right. So is this addition to the base, or is this straight?
Yeah. So
so the base is 20. The additional 35 would put me at 55.
Right.
Okay. All right. So that puts me at 70 handgun.
Okay.
Which would make sense. You said cryptography. I'm not studying maps. I'm studying encryption. Gotcha.
Right.
The 60 there. Disguise will be pretty high too. I think it'll be no. I'm sorry. Fast talk and persuade. Those are the other two.
Yeah.
Persuade's gonna go up by 60 points to 75.
Okay.
And then fast talk is going up by 70 points.
Keep everything under 90. Don't go above 90. Trust me. When you raise something to 90 or above, you get sanity back.
I know I'm not going to get sanity back.
Well, I'm saying, like, if you have an 85 in fast talk, and then you up that by 5 through the course of play, you will get sanity back, and it's like 2d6. So it can be significant. Like, yeah.
I've only got 5 more points right now, so I'm going to put that. So I'm going to take these points and points later?
No, you got to finish out these points, and then we'll go on to...
So I couldn't, like, take 5 for spot hidden now, then later points
for
spot hidden.
Yeah, you definitely can do that, yeah. All right, so now you're done with those. You're going to take intelligence times 10.
Okay, that's 160?
Mm-hmm. Okay. And that you have those points to spend.
Okay.
And those can go on anything. It's been a while since we created a character for you, or for anybody, actually.
It's been a bit. The spot hidden's going up another 40 points.
Okay.
Puts it at 70. First aid's going up 20 to put it at 50.
Okay. That's important.
Hide is going... Okay, so I did 40 and 20. So that's 60. So I'm at 100 points left. All right, so then hide is going to go up by 40 to put it at 50.
Okay.
It's dumb, but it fits the character. I think accounting would go up.
Okay.
I really do, because that's what I mean. I would have been doing clerk work.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think that's probably going to get bumped up too.
Okay.
By 20 points, I got 30 points left.
Okay. Remember you...
Locksmith.
Yeah.
Is the last one.
Yeah.
So the rest of the points are going to locksmith.
Okay. Let me see your sheet when you're done with that. Everybody else is advanced a little bit, so I don't want to have you as a base character, even though we already gave you languages. You didn't... Oh, okay, you did. We're going to give you a credit rating of 40. It's not terribly high, but it's high enough.
Who needs credits when you talk like I can?
It's more about the money you can pull on, honestly. So let's do that, and then bump hide to 75, and sneak, which you didn't put anything in.
Ooh.
Go ahead and put that at 70. And then we're going to make your locksmith a straight 55. This is a little bump here and there, and then a big bump on that sneak that you didn't put anything in.
I forgot about it. I was all sidetracked.
We're also going to give you folklore. Let's give you 50, and then an occult of like 15. Not great, but the folklore equates over into
right.
And then military doctrine will add 10 to whatever the base is. Military doctrine lets you pick out officers and such. So essentially, you understand how the military works.
Right.
You don't have a great understanding of it, but you have the basic concepts.
Right.
And that's kind of important for a character,
Right.
intelligence character. So espionage ended up being what?
75.
That's good. We definitely want espionage. And your hide and sneak are pretty high.
Yep. Fast talking persuader high.
Okay. What's your base machine gun?
15.
15. So let's go ahead and bump that to a 50.
Submachine gun was one of my.
Submachine gun. I'm sorry. Yeah. You don't want a machine gun. That's a very different skill. And then I'm going to have you bump radio operator to double whatever the base is. What was the base?
1%.
Oh, then give it to 15. You should know how to at least do the basic operations of a radio. So, yeah, 2%. Sweet.
Woo!
All right. The only other skill you didn't take that you could have that might have changed things was martial arts. But martial arts is dumb. There's a lot of rules for martial arts. Essentially, with martial arts, you compare that when making a physical attack like a punch or a kick, which you didn't up at all. If you roll under your punch, so you're punching somebody, you roll under your punch, and that roll is also under your military or your martial arts, you do double damage.
Oh, okay.
But that requires you to bump 2 skills to potentially get double damage.
No.
Yeah.
Handguns. That's where.
Yeah. So, I think you're good though. I think you're pretty set. You're a decent fighter. Not great at range. That might be important. But the submachine guns have a decent range compared to the handguns that don't have much.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I can learn rifle and stuff better as we go. That's not going to be challenging.
Yeah.
It's just going to take time.
So, you are a stealthy espionage-based character. Keep that in mind. Don't run out with like flaming sticks of dynamite into the middle of the street.
No, but I might hamstring a couple Nazis.
That's fine. Fine with that. Your homework, and this is for our listeners at home. Listeners at home, when we start the next episode, I'm going to ask Rob, did you watch Inglourious Bastards? And if Rob does not say yes, I want to get lots and lots of emails from you complaining because Rob needs to watch Inglourious Bastards.
So, as a note, this has been going on for how long have we been recording together? 2 years?
2 years. 2 years.
It's been 2 years.
It's on Netflix. I mean, it's not like it's hard to find you.
No, it's a matter of time because if I'm not playing Ark or playing my Switch or recording reviews or
honestly, it is a little bit on you say recording reviews.
I've only done the one. I got another one.
No, it is a little bit of a longer movie, but I really think that espionage wise, there's some stuff that you see in there that's really good. I know you're not a Tarantino fan. I feel like this is not. It's very Tarantino, but it's not like
Hateful Eight Tarantino or Kill Bill Tarantino.
Right. It's there's some Kill Bill in it, but it's more like all of the murder scenes are like bloody, gory murder scenes. Like nobody gets shot and just bleeds a little bit. Like, yeah, they're bad. But I think there's enough there that would kind of help you out with the concept. And I really think that movie is really good. And then Enemy of the State. You might want to just briefly watch that again if you haven't seen it lately. Also kind of a long movie, weirdly. But the fun thing to do with Enemy of the State is pick out the actors that are actually people now. Like Seth Green and Jack Black. And like all of these like no-name actors at the time. Like literally like nobody would know them at all.
I did that with X-Files.
Right? And you're like, wow, how did they get all of these people?
Well, that was, I watched Beetlejuice the other day.
Yeah.
Segue real quick. And it was Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
And, Michael Keaton wasn't super big yet.
No, that was kind of his breakout big deal, yeah.
Like, there's a bunch of the redhead mom, I can't remember her name.
Oh, yeah.
She's the
Macaulay Culkin's mother.
Yeah, the dad is he's a popular guy later.
Yeah.
Winona Ryder was like a kid.
Yeah.
Like, holy cow. Like, it's packed with actors that went on to good careers.
Yeah, and so Enemy of the State is like 1998 when nobody's done anything. And you've got really big names like Will Smith and Gene Hackman and Jon Voight, Lisa Bonet. And then you've got like what's his name? Oh, what is his name? Oh, I'm going to find him. So Jack Black is in it. Jamie Kennedy's in it.
Dang.
Playing a straight, like, actual acting role. Anna Gunn, who's most recently been in Breaking Bad.
Okay, yeah.
She's the wife mother in that. And then what is his name? His dad is crazy. He's in Starship Troopers. Why can I not find this guy? Larry King's in it. That's great.
That's awesome.
What is this guy's name? Why can't I think of this guy's name? I'm gonna have to look up freaking Starship Troopers. Jake Busey.
Oh, dang.
Jake Busey's in it.
Damn.
And so, like, all these, like, Seth Green, like, went on to be an actual actor and do things. And Jack Black is huge in what he does. And they're all just, like, extra people in the van. Like, they're, like, the operatives that are kind of, like, not really operatives, but there. Right. So, yeah, it's a really good movie for this kind of concept. So, I think that those are your two homeworks. Mostly Inglourious Bastards. It's really important you see this. You're going to learn about the German 3, which is very important because that's what espionage is all about, understanding the German 3. You have to watch the movie.
Oh.
Do you know what the German 3 is?
I don't. I could probably Google it.
So here in America, we use the index.
We covered this really early
instead of the Germans use the thumb, index, and middle finger. And so Michael Fassbender, who's in the movie, also
he was just in Alien Covenant again.
Mike Myers is in this movie playing a super serious role. And I was like, is that Mike? It's Mike Myers. Holy crap. Like, seriously plays a sincere role in this movie.
Only Tarantino could get someone to do that, right?
And this is like the last movie he's done in a long time because after The Love Guru, he stopped acting.
Right.
But like, Michael Fassbender is really good in it until he dies. Surprise.
He is such a good actor.
And Brad Pitt is so over the top ridiculous. It's phenomenal. It's just absolutely phenomenal. He wants to kill Nazis. I'm going to kill me Nazis. Y'all owe me 100 Nazi scalps. and then he speaks a little bit of... So they're sneaking into this thing, and he speaks a little bit of Italian. And so he's pretending to be an Italian, and they're like, oh, how are you doing today? And he's like, buongiorno.
That's great.
Yeah. So you've got to watch the movie because it's well worth it. And it's very much espionage type stuff, especially towards the end. Towards the beginning, it's kind of just murdery death stuff, but it's good. And then the villain in it is phenomenal. So I can't think who plays that, but he's really, really good. So totally worth it. You should be watching this movie.
Yeah, you said Michael Fassbender, and he's one of the greats of our time. The dude's just phenomenal.
He has his moments.
I mean, even like if I know a lot of people are like not Covenant for what it was, but Michael Fassbender did so freaking good in that film.
Yeah. Christopher Waltz plays Colonel Hans Landa, and he is the bad guy, and he's phenomenal. just a lot of fun. So I think you should watch this, and you should do it soon, like tonight. Like, you got time now. You had nothing else going on.
Oh, so, the wifey will occupy my time.
All right.
Sorry, ladies, I'm unavailable.
Thank God. So, you may have noticed that this episode and the previous episode have come out during the same week. We knew that these were going to be two kind of not full, real, normal episodes, so we kind of back-to-back them. Next week we will be back. We apologize for the long overdue start. It just the equipment thing, and then we had personal lives. Two of our 5 players were unavailable for the night of recording, which normally would have been tonight. We're gonna have to reschedule that for towards the end. We have it already rescheduled for the end of July.
We'll find some more content to throw in the meantime. Something fun and interesting. I don't know.
Yeah. Now you put a heavy requirement on fun and interesting. You should have heard something else prior to these because I want to put these out right before we start the next one. But I apologize again for the long hiatus. It was not our intent. We were on schedule for everything, and it kind of just fell apart. So that will do us tonight for the Nerds Domain Presents Masks of Nyarlathotep. We will talk to you guys real soon.
And that will do it for us tonight on the Nerds Domain Presents Masks of Nyarlathotep. Remember, you can email us at nerdsdomain@gmail.com or find us on facebook.com patreon.com/nerdsdomain, on Twitter @nerdsdomain, or over at our site, nerdsdom.com. Be sure to sign up for the newsletter while you're there. You can head over to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating. We want to thank Josh Schott for our music. Don't forget, you can support us at patreon.com/nerdsdomain. And check out our shirts at slashloot.com.